So, but I'm happy to see all of you very much so. And several of you were with us in trance or in the other talks that we've given. But I'm going to share a little bit of a brief overview for those who weren't with us before, and put it in context what's happening, and then a little bit about the program, and leave about half the time or more for just questions and answers. So this is just a brief. And if you have questions, please do keep them in mind and write them down, and we'll come back to that. So, I was talking with a very dear friend of mine, Mejia, yesterday, and she came over for a cup of tea, and she's one of some of you know her well, I think, and we just catch up every once in a while. And she was telling me that a really amazing thing is happening, that so many meditation groups are coming forward and saying, how do we start a community? Very interesting. It's I won't say it's a new phenomenon, but it's something, an occurrence that is occurring, that is gaining strength. More and more people are recognizing the need to have community, and we're seeing it out there in the world as well. I listen to different kind of talks, and even Asha, but outside of Ananda as well. And people are saying, we're in some challenging times. Community is the answer, part of the answer for us. And I've heard this many, many times, many people around the world saying it. And there's a reason for that. And it's a very important reason to consider and to act on. In 2002, Swami called me to his house here at Ceci, and said, I want you to, I'll keep this short, write a book about communities. And he went on to explain that he had written 2 or 3 books about communities, and he said that those were to inspire people to work, to consider this, because he said that Yogananda, when he first came to America, he had 2 objectives. One is to bring Kriya, to the path of Kriya to America, and he's, as we know, many thousands of souls were calling him, and so he taught Kriya and meditation practices. And secondly, it was to bring about the understanding and the direction of creating communities. That did not happen in the way that he wanted, according to Swami Kriyananda. That America was not ready at that time. So he formed the ashrams, and those are communities as well, or monastic people. But Swami was at a garden party when he spoke so strongly. He was emphatic. Just we must. I mean, I won't share those words, but I remember hearing Swami say those words from Master. Yogananda would shout, "We must go north south." I mean, he went on. Swami would turn beet red when he would say. He said Yogananda was shouting. And this is at a tea party for old ladies in Beverly Hills. They were not the ones he was shouting to. He was shouting to the ether, to us, to the future work and to the future world, because he stressed that we're coming into a time of dramatic, traumatic change. The direction is good. And the direction has a divine purpose and of a further awakening for mankind. But the transition is going to be tough. And he used very dramatic words to describe it. We are in that time now, and we all know. And we're not nearly through. There are many, many other changes coming, all to free us up to be able to be more conscious, more awakened, and more prepared to really go deeper in our paths and in our self-discovery. Well, that's not easily done. And that's why he said community. He stressed, Yogananda stressed, and Swami stressed, you need to find community. and to be with and to grow with, for safety, for security, for encouragement, and for sharing of talents and skills and resources. And because this is the time we are now starting to become familiar with, this is the need is becoming more apparent. Community, as I have come to understand it from meditating inside, it's not only about going to a residential community. That's not so easily done, these days. We can move in that direction, but a first step is what this workshop is going to be about. It's called Creating Mini Communities, MINI, sort of a starter for creating circles of friendship, where we are, where with the groups that we already have, instead of needing to go out and purchase land at the moment. Also, some might, and build little communities up in the mountains, which Master talked about, that we can start where we are without a lot of, we don't need to think of a lot of time and expense and sacrifice and pulling away from families and so forth at this time. What we're going to explore in this series that we'll embark on starting on the 22nd of November is the understanding that, number one, community starts inside of ourselves. Now, I one time asked inside, how do we start to explain communities? Not like we did in the 1970s and 80s and 90s, where I helped with communities at that point. I came to Ananda in 1977, and I was part of communities before that. But we are in a different time and a different age. How do we understand communities? And a couple of aspects came in. One is it's about consciousness. A community is there to help us to raise our awareness and consciousness and become more increasingly conscious on different levels. And those levels are related to the chakras. And so over time, we've developed this approach, the community chakras. We each have our chakras inside, and as we know, and we've heard about, that a community is of people. It's not organization. That's organizing people. It's working with people. It's for people. And people bring their chakras. And collectively, the community starts to develop the chakra system. And within that, by understanding that more carefully, we can see how we can develop a community and understand its strengths and challenges from a different perspective and solutions. And that's what we've developed with this, the Conscious Community Solution. This is the book that I'm working on. Now, again, this workshop will introduce some of these aspects, not in depth, but introduce with one goal in mind. Well, one primary goal, let's say, and that is that we can start to understand community and resonate with community inside of ourselves. And we'll go through a little process around that. Each of us is different, but some aspects we're ready for community. Some aspects we might say, oh, I'm not sure. I did a survey with a group of people that were wanting to start community, and they love so many ideas, but one question caught a lot of people off guard. Do you like to spend time with people? And many people say, no, not so much, a little bit. But we can work with that. Community needs time for oneself and privacy. And so, and it's not always about just giving 1,000%. So anyway, that we are going to explore, starting with community within yourself, and then extending that reach to that aura, let's say, to a meditation group, or a special interest group. Maybe you're part of a knitting club or a sewing club or a garden. or musicians, but to extend that out and talk about how to create community step by step, starting with the vision, starting with an understanding that community is about people, starting with the understanding that we need to learn how to communicate also, not only feel inspired. That's what Swami said to me. I need that the people will be inspired, but they need to understand how to create community on a practical level. And the chakra system, it translates into very practical aspects. So in those first 6 sessions, we're going to be understanding it from the perspective of some of the chakras and starting to think, how can we reach out, work on ourselves, number one, and 2, reach out to a group we're already familiar with. It does not have to be anything that's official or, just like you're saying, I'm coming to make a community out of you. No, it can be very subtle through the heart and through little steps that we take. One aspect, they don't even have to know about it. You're bringing a certain consciousness into connecting people and connecting, helping people to feel connected and inspired and becoming a community of light, because we are learning to bring in the light into whatever group we're with, whomever we're with. And a community can be 3 people. It can be 7 or 8. I would encourage this first step, not more than that, really. But we're going to talk about that. And each one of us will have something different that we have in mind. Or some may say, I'm not ready to do that. That's good. That's good to acknowledge that and say, okay, well, there's some reason you're here. What can we do to help you with that, what you are inspired to receive? And take that with you and plant some seeds, perhaps, for the future. So it's really an exploration. It's a workshop where you'll explore what's happening inside of yourself, how you can reach out and take the next step in your own personal development and expression of love and of kindness and inclusion, bringing people, helping people, and within yourself too, to lift their consciousness. That's the beauty of true community. And I'll just close with these words that Divine Mother gave a message to Swami Kriyananda at one point. And one line of that message was, yes, create these communities, but in the sense of unity with me. In the sense of unity. And that's the ultimate goal. We're here for finding God. And that may be it will be step by step, finding joy in ourselves or finding love in our connections, but unity ultimately with God. And community even ends with that word unity. We're here to find unity. And we do that through community. And that includes meditation. And it includes sharing and service and living for joy. So this is what we're going to be doing in these 6 sessions. And then there's a part 2 that continues that process and takes it deeper as well for those who would like to continue with it. So that's the overview of what is coming. And now you can see why I'm excited about it, because it really is about blossoming, it's awakening. And that's why we're all here.